In the early years, there was only darkness. Humans walked the earth completely blind of their surroundings. Two sisters lived among the darkened world. The older, Ligra, known in the village as kind, protective, and good-natured, watched over her sister Estrella, who was reserved and not well known. The villagers loved Ligra, as she always shared all she had, giving as much as she could to the others. The villagers were less fond of Estrella, who they just didn't know, only ever coming out when Ligra made her. As Estrella was going to bed, she got on her knees and prayed to the gods that one day she would amount to something more. Paloma, the goddess of love, Buitre, the god of death, Cuervo, the goddess of the earth, and Gaviota, the goddess of the ocean, listened to her prayers. They devised a plan in which the younger sister would get her wish. When Estrella woke, she walked about her home, listening for Ligra's rustling, which she had grown to expect. After a few minutes of hearing nothing, she went outside, and there was no sound. Estrella went to the house just a few yards from hers, rapping on the door. Her neighbor had heard nothing. The confused girl asked all the villagers if they had heard her sister. The goddess Paloma's heart was warmed. She knew Estrella's heart was big for her sister. Buitre, the god of death, bet that Estrella would give up. But, to his surprise, Estrella soon ventured into the woods. Estrella went deep into the woods, listening for anything that would lead her to her sister. After what seemed like hours of wandering, she heard a crack. Estrella yelled out, "Ligra?" her voice startling herself. But suddenly, there was another voice. "Need a guide?" the voice said. Not completely sure she could trust the voice, Estrella nodded slowly. Soon after, the floor under her feet began to grow with grass. Taking a step forward, the grass continued to lead her way. A step to her right, and sharp twigs punctured her feet. She stayed silent for a while, continuing to listen. There was nothing. Estrella took one step forward, grass under her toes. One more step, more grass. She knew Cuervo was guiding her. She continued to walk on, and after some time she heard rushing water. She couldn't tell how fast the water was. It was too dark. She took one step forward, reaching the bank, and did the only thing she could think of. Estrella got on her knees and prayed, "O goddess Gaviotas, please grant me a safe passage." A few moments went by, and Estrella couldn't tell if anything had changed. She got up. She couldn't just leave Ligra, but she didn't know where else to go, what else she could do. She turned around expecting grass, but sharp twigs punctured her feet once again. She then knew that there was only one way through. Cautiously sitting on the edge of the tumbling river, she slowly dipped her feet in. There was silence. The river had calmed. Slowly, she lowered herself into the river. One step forward, sand between her toes. One step to the left, rugged rocks. She stepped back onto the sand and continued forward. Soon she reached the other side, pulling herself up and onto the grass. She said a small thank you to the goddess Gaviota, following the feeling of the soft grass. Behind her, the water rushed once again. It had to have been at least one night's worth of walking, desperately calling out Ligra's name. She was just a kid. Why had the gods taken Ligra? Surely they knew she was much more important. Disheartened, she stopped walking. She couldn't keep going. The only thing that tied her to this world was her sister. There was no one she loved as much, no one that loved her as much. What was she to do? She couldn't go on. It was just too hard. She felt the grass wilt beneath her feet, just the sound of her heart beating and the tears in her eyes. There was a rustling behind her. "Why so sad, child?" Estrella didn't answer. She didn't have the heart to. Not having the heart to say what's bothering you is barely the problem. Where's Ligra? Estrella was taken aback. I don't know. Who are you? Why, child, you already know that. She was right. Estrella did. Now get up. Your heart knows where she is. Listen to it, the woman said calmly. No, She was cut off. Listen, the voice said. So she listened. There was something, a beating sound. Bump, 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 bump. It was in the ground. She could feel it under her feet. The grass had grown again. The beating continued 1 step forward, and the beating got louder. Walk on, child. I'm here. So she did, each step making the beat louder. It soon grew cold, but she walked on. She reached what she assumed was a cave. Go on, the voice said. I can't take you past here. Estrella turned around, the beating still in her ears. Thank you, she said. 1 step forward, the grass no longer there, only stone. It's okay. I will be here. Follow your heart. The beating getting louder and louder within the cavern. Ligra? Ligra? Her voice echoed against the walls. She is here, child. Can you pay the price? A powerful voice asked. What do you want? Estrella tentatively said, uncertain of the stranger. Trade your life for hers. It was immediate. She knew it was the choice she had to make. Estrella nodded her head yes. She felt talons pulling her off the ground, flying her high up into the sky. She was able. It was as if she was glowing from the inside out. She looked up at a vulture carrying her high above the clouds until she could see the whole world. To her left, there was a dove carrying Ligra up higher and higher. Ligra started to change into a shining silver globe. The birds let them go magically. They stayed afloat. From then on, Ligra and Estrella lived above the clouds. Estrella emitting light from her heart so humans could see, and Ligra blanketing them with protection so they could rest, forever and always working together as sun and moon.